Hello everybody, welcome to live show 69. Actually, it's a recorded live show because Duke here will be out of the country and this is a Saturday, so we've recorded it for Sunday, so there would be a show. It's number 69, and for some people that's an important number. You got a dirty mind.
Okay.
I was thinking of yin yang.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, see, Duke's mind's in the gutter. Okay, let's start. Okay, so Jason and William were on the last show. They're from the Isle of Man in the UK area. And the next day you were busy, unfortunately. And I took them to the Stalin Line Museum, which we'd been to before, you and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the Robinson Club for lunch, which was nice. So I will show you some video of that, and then also at the end of it, when I dropped them off, because they left, they're in Prague, I asked them what they thought of the place. So
that's interesting. Yeah.
So let's watch this. So this is on the Stalin Line. Quite there. People can hear it, but we can't hear it.
Oh, okay.
Turn it up for us. And Jason's a big World War II buff, so he'd love this. This is him foreign.
Was that fake thing?
No, this is a real one.
Mine was fake. It was terrible.
Yeah, no, this. Listen to this. In fact, it was so loud. Ears were in He's enjoying himself.
Was it real? That was like a kid.
It's only firing blanks. And then he kitted up and got inside the BMP. You have to wait a bit when there's a bit of instructions there. Well, as you know, most of these fire blanks and electronic stuff, and then.
Oh, I just put up a video on YouTube on my channel, and there was a old Soviet water machine. You know, where you in the old days in the Soviet Union, you could get free water all over the place. You just press a button or something, and a cup. I think the cup comes out as well. I don't think you put your own cup. You used to get water or something. But
yeah, now they have them around Minsk because there are fountains everywhere. They're plugged into the spring. A lot of places.
Really? Yeah. Then it might be free water here.
It is free. Yeah. If you have a look, people just go up there with their bottles and fill them up.
The one I was showing was like, I remember seeing movies, old Soviet movies, and like at the university, the students, you just go get free water. Incredible compared to the West,
Yeah.
Everything's geared about as much money as they can possibly get out of you.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's in foreign. Targets at the end there.
Oh.
Ready for this? Fires the cannon as well. There you go. Turret's moving because he was moving it, siding it up. He didn't get special attacks.
It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
Wow. Yeah, that did look really interesting.
Yeah, enjoyed it. We spent 3 hours there. Here we go. What do they think of Minsk? Okay, thoughts on Minsk and Belarus?
I love Belarus. It's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful. Well, Minsk is a beautiful city with beautiful people, and it's a bit of a challenge getting here, but it is well worth the effort.
What about you?
I remember thinking that when I was coming through the border, I thought, I'm doing this again, but I think I would, I think I would come back because it's
At the end of the day, I expected things to be good here, and I expected things to improve, but it's exceeded my expectations by a lot. So, can't say more than that. I've had some fantastic experiences, met some wonderful people, had some brilliant food. It's just better than home. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you came to the studio.
Yeah,
it was great.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, it's amazing. You talk to people that are like from the West or something, and they're all really surprised, and it's like, what is it better? It's better over here than it is over in the West. And one of the surprising thing is you see a lot of these local people, and it's like conditioned. I don't know what's the word, brainwashed, indoctrinated to think everything in the West is better than it is over here. And obviously, when he was here, it was probably a lot better over there. And when I came here in about 2000, it was definitely better in the West than it was in Belarus. And then coming in 2007, I believe, I was thinking, wow, this is starting to, I mean, in certain areas, you see things weren't like. I remember the apartment building where my mother-in-law and father-in-law at the time, he's passed away, where they lived, and I'm thinking, it's like, what, people live in that building? It looks like some sort of a slum or something like that, a abandoned building, because it just was kind of messed up. Looking at it on the outside is what I'm saying. And then, I didn't come until 2021 then, of course. But what it was is a lot of the buildings, even around that area, they were renovated since 2000 when I was here, or 2001. I came in 2000, and I think 2001, and then 2007, and then, of course, 2021. But that building in 2007, it looked terrible, even though a lot of the other buildings were looking good. And I'm starting to think, oh, why is this building looking crappy and some of the other ones? So maybe you could say, I don't know, 5 or maybe even, I don't even think it was up to 10% that was still looked really ratty and Baranovich-y. And then coming in 2021, and practically everything, you see some buildings that are not quite as nice. I think maybe they're looking around and finding the worst buildings and renovating over a period of, I don't know, 10 or 15 whatever years. And virtually now practically everything looks better. You can go into areas, and some of the buildings, they don't look quite as good, but they're not like super bad, just not as good as a lot of the other buildings. And it's the Belarusians themselves, I don't know, because it happened over a long period of time. They didn't realize how much nicer and better and more renovated, and the sidewalks, the streets are always pretty good. Lukashenko always kept the streets really well, the roads. And but I think a lot of the people that go to the West now, and where it is declining, Belarus just gets better and better. And in the West, most everywhere, everything gets worse and worse. Of course, there are new areas in the West, and they all look renovated because they're new. But the rest of the place is just getting run down. And it's like, you can clearly come to most everywhere in Belarus and say, well, it's a lot nicer here than it is in the West. And it's shocking for the Belarusians to hear that as well. And they're really surprised, and they're, a lot of them are proud, and they say, wow, okay, thanks. And
the biggest complaint here that I hear all the time from the locals is the wages are low. But
yeah,
we have to explain to them that, maybe the wages is higher in the West, but you're paying more to live there.
Yeah.
So it's essentially the same.
Well, in my case, being like a middle-class type of guy all the time, I was realizing, half of my wages always went to rent, just rent, and, and I don't think that even included like my electricity bills and things like that. So then you got to make do with the other half of your money to pay all your other bills and things. So then you say, well, I can't afford to get a car, so I won't get a car. I'll take public transportation. And I'm talking mostly in Germany and all that. In the States, I hadn't lived for quite a long time, so, but it was the same thing anyway. Half your money goes to the rent. And
Duke's a tax exile from the US. He's got so much money hidden. He has to leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, when I was living in the Caribbean, of course, and then I started.
See, Caribbean tax exile. See, tax haven.
Started using, starting little businesses myself. Things got a lot better and all that, but then with this medical, situation or whatever you call it, this, I'll say, a pandemic thing that started in 2020, I had to get out of there because of the medical interventions that they were proposing to fight this pandemic, and no more to be saying about that, but. Yeah, and so everything stopped short there and came to Belarus because I have to say, there's more freedom here. You didn't have to do that.
There is.
And you can walk the streets. You don't have to worry about, getting mugged or killed or raped or anything like that. It's
leave stuff in your car. It's not going to get smashed.
Yeah.
And broken into.
Yeah, I mean, you can go into so many areas and you start to say, well, where is there more freedom and less? And if you look at the areas where maybe there's less freedom, you can realize, you look at it and you say, well, it's the same as it, or in a different way, it's actually worse in the West. But over here, it's like, for example, online, social media and things like that. You have things in Russia that are blocked that come from the West. I think Google or certain things, or Instagram, I believe, might be blocked. I'm hearing some things like that. I don't know. I haven't lived there. And then if you go to the West, RT is blocked and Sputnik is blocked and all that sort of thing. So, but if you,
and I would love to block X.
Yeah.
/ Twitter.
Yeah, well, even look at like TikTok. I think the U.S.
Oh, you're trying to ban that?
Did they block it or going to?
No, they're still trying to ban it.
Yeah, and then come to Belarus, and I don't even think there's any talk of banning TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or anything. And then how can it's like it kind of ticks me off, and they're starting talking bad about Lukashenko and his government, and even you see how the people walk the streets, and how it's very good in Belarus, and that they can come up with these lies and things. It's just amazing. Not even anything on the internet is blocked. So I don't even see how he can do that, to be honest with you. And then they badmouth him and all that, but he doesn't block any of that stuff.
No, he doesn't at all. Not even a little bit.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my impressions of that.
Okay, short show recorded for tomorrow, Sunday.
And we're off script, you can say that.
And we're off script, yeah.
Pretty much. We're just going to be talking about some of the main topics.
Duke hasn't done any work.
Yeah.
None at all.
Yeah, well, we did this unexpectedly, actually. So
yeah, I just rang him and said, do you want to do a show, do something for tomorrow? So there you go. Anyway, today, Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday.
But, just have some list of a few things going on. So otherwise we'd forget. You turn the camera on and you forgot, well, what's going on in the world? I forgot.
Okay. So I'll start with, have you seen in Croatia?
Croatia, let me think. I saw something about it. See, that's what I mean. We can't remember. What is that?
Yeah, I'll just turn this on.
What wasn't going on in Croatia?
What has been going on in Croatia?
Yeah, if you mention it, then it'll jog my memory.
Well, there's an organization there, essentially starts with N, because we'll be on YouTube, and they've got a little parade going, and
now I remember.
And hang on.
Yeah, Croatia. So,
And hang on.
You see the men marching, and they purposely try to sound like they got these big, deep voices.
Why did it go blank?
You got blank?
Oh,
Somebody blocking it, or?
no, technical issues.
Oh.
I pressed a button. I shouldn't have. Okay, here we go. Try again.
Listen to how tough we sound.
Yeah, so this is in Croatia. This is Neo Nasties.
Yeah. crazy world. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what are these guys protesting against? Actually,
Yeah, what are they protesting about? Who knows what they're protesting
probably
about?
the same sort of deal that's maybe going on in England a little bit, or people from different countries coming to their country, maybe. But I don't know if Croatia's having that problem.
No, it's let's have a look what it's about. I'll just have a look. Well, we just get
Makes you really wonder who incites people to find something that they should be complaining about.
So these are the Croatian black-shirted Nazis openly marched in support of Ustach, who during the Second World War, as collaborators with the Nazis, killed over 1 million Serbs and were unique in operating a concentration camp for children. Nice people. As well as expelling over 250,000 Serbs in the 1990s. And now they're proudly walking on the streets of the EU.
So they don't like the Serbs, I guess. Is that right?
Yes. Exactly.
I wonder what did the friggin' Serbs? I mean, even if they did something maybe to set them off back in the 1930s or something. I mean, that's like ancient history.
Yeah, well, Himmler actually liked the Croatian people in the SS there.
Well, I can imagine.
There you go.
Probably like these from the same organization, the same nationalists in Finland and whatever those other countries, maybe in the Baltics, and and obviously there was some in Poland too. And a lot of people try to say like, well, you know, that's a really messed up story there. You know, talking about history, and you know, a lot of these Polish people in the government, they you know, supported old Adolf there from Germany, and then some didn't. And
move this camera.
and yeah, it's so it's kind of a mixed bag, and there was even some mixed times, even people in Russia, like I think Stalin was actually not buddies, but he had an understanding with old Adolf, and
well, he knew the Soviet Union wasn't ready for war. That's why he knew that they weren't ready for war. So
yeah, and even a lot of those times, you know, you look at like even Mussolini and Adolf, you know, they were both socialists. You know, I mean, it's I think we talked about that on some of these shows. You know, everybody's saying, well, the socialists, they're on the left, and like Adolf and those people are far right, and it's you know, I mean, whenever you think of people on the left, you think of socialists, right? So, but the socialists are the ones that, you know, that came up with the nasties.
Yeah, if you look in the if you look in history, communism and socialists, they probably killed the most people.
Yeah,
all the way through.
Yeah, and then it's with me, it's like I say, well, ideologies in general, you know.
Yeah. Well, also don't forget, you know, all these people that support these places, then they're the next victims because they're the ones that helped with the revolution. So you got to get rid of them in case they do it again.
Well, maybe that's what Jason was talking about. Yeah, I think that's that point I think that he was talking about before that I was thinking, well, that's interesting. Or at least that was one point I think he brought up. Maybe it wasn't the one that I should have tried to remember. I should have had a pen and wrote it down because it was a different perspective. But it was like a lot of these people that help them get into power, then they kill them off because they're going to challenge them too.
Yeah, agitate and challenge them. Yeah, exactly.
Gosh.
Exactly. Yeah, and you see what's happening in the UK with all these protests. Even though there's one section of the community running around with hammers and machetes, you can't say anything about them because they're a protective class. But the indigenous people are getting sort of hammered, as you would say.
Gosh.
And the UK now is arresting people for free speech. So
the indigenous ones normally, right?
Yeah. And that's as you saw this meme here. So, hey, Britain, how's it going? You're under arrest for free speech. Oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what's going on.
Really punishing things. Like I was hearing on the way over here that somebody's like going like for 20 months, nearly 2 years, and that's because part of his sentence was reduced and 1/3 off because he admitted or something, and all this kind of crap.
Well, I can play that video for that. Let's play that video.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the judge, huh?
You have been committed for sentence, having pleaded guilty to an offence of publishing written material, which is threatening, abusive, or insulting, intending thereby to stir up racial hatred.
So that he knows his mind that he was intending to do that?
The context of your offending is that it arises out of the civil unrest and disorder in many parts of the United Kingdom. On the night of the 2nd and 3rd of
The guy
August,
expressed his opinion, and he said he
Britannia
purposefully
Hotel in
incited people.
Leeds was attacked by people who threw missiles which damaged windows.
And it's your fault.
The police were called, and on the 3rd of August, the hotel was locked down for the protection of those who were living there. At the time, there were 210
Acting as if he's the
occupants,
guy
many
that
of
planned it
whom
all.
were
Incredible.
foreign refugees and asylum seekers. Similar attacks to the hotel were launched on the 4th of August. The police attended on each occasion, and units were deployed to safeguard the hotel and to provide an
The guy should ask, what does it have to do with me?
Presence in the area.
Jeez.
In between the two attacks, you took to social media
in
order to encourage others towards participation in the attacks upon the hotel. As is recognized on your behalf, this offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please?
So maybe the guy
The sentence that I pass has been
saying that everybody should show up. I don't know.
to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. You will serve up to 1/2 of your sentence in custody before you are released on license. If you fail to abide by the conditions of your license, you can be returned to prison to serve some or all of the remainder of the custodial term. The victim surcharge will apply, and I will make a collection order.
Yeah, they charge him as well for doing that. You know that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the guy told everybody, "Hey, we're going to be, attacking the migrants at such and such a place, so everybody show up and bring rocks or some crap." I have no idea, but if the guy did not do that, then he probably shouldn't be going to prison.
But wait, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Yes. Now they said they'll go after people from overseas for saying stuff.
Yeah.
So here's this video.
Yeah.
We'll play this one.
Oh my God.
We'll play this one.
So like us.
Yeah.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Talk to me about that, because we have seen some high-profile
World's
figures
policeman.
whipping up
Yeah.
the hatred. You
The
talked
US
about
is
it
going to
there
get
with
jealous.
officers, in fact, about this being added to by online commentary. I mean, I'm even thinking of the likes of Elon Musk getting involved. What are you considering when it comes to dealing with people who are whipping up this kind of behaviour from behind a keyboard, maybe in a different country?
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material. All of those offences are in play if people are provoking hatred and violence on the streets, and we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the streets the thugs and the...
Why don't they arrest the British government for inciting hatred against Russia?
Exactly.
So they need to go arrest the British government, because that's on a much bigger scale. You're talking maybe millions of people eventually. Let's go kill the Russians. And as a matter of fact, that's complete and total misinformation, stuff that they make up, they can't prove. There's no evidence whatsoever. The Russians are this and the Russians doing that. I mean, come on, why don't they come and arrest them? But maybe Russia should go and say, well, wait, we're going to come and arrest you. We're also going to be world's policemen. I mean, boy.
And you can also imagine, that Piers Morgan. Yeah, he's been on it, of course, on one side of that, and he interviewed Andrew Tate. Did you see that video?
I only saw part of it, and he actually let Andrew Tate can.
We can play that now.
Yeah,
let's play that now.
Would you like to take this opportunity finally
I saw this part.
to tell the rioters to stop rioting? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Well, considering I've been saying that for the last 4 days on Twitter,
he was baiting Andrew Tate.
Tweets out, they should be in front of you. There's at least 30. Let me make it clear to the people on both sides of the equation, all of my brothers in Islam and all of the Christians and native people of the UK who feel like they're underrepresented. You have more in common with the people you live amongst than you do with these political elites. The people you live amongst love their children, and they're struggling to pay the bills exactly like you are. There's no reason for UK, one of the greatest countries in the world, one of the largest empires in history, to be plunged into poverty if it wasn't being looted by a political class that do not care about you. And the people who do not care about you, the number one thing they want is the different breeds or different types or different categories of poor people to fight, so nobody looks up and sees who the real enemy is. Britain can be a rich country, and it can be prosperous, and it can be safe, and it can be regulated, and the police can respond, and it can be as beautiful as a lot as the first world Islamic nations are. There's no reason why it has to be the way it is unless a political class was failing the people who they're supposed to represent for generations. And that's where this anger and hatred comes from. Not because a video was made on Twitter. That is so infantile and asinine to believe that some little video on Twitter started all of these things.
Here's what
That
it's
is
not a
what's
little
happening.
video.
So stop rioting amongst each other and realize who the real enemy of your freedom is.
Don't let Pierce come in with his bullshit.
Listen, I was born on a Luton council estate, and now I have hundreds of millions of dollars. And let me promise you, it's never poor versus poor. It's rich versus poor. When a black billionaire and a white billionaire meet, there is no racism because they are billionaires. Racism is what they use to divide the poor people, to stop us realizing that they lie about every single thing on the news, that they inflate the currency constantly, they send our money away to wars we're not interested in. Nobody can afford their bills. Nobody can afford health care, and you're going to die alone in some nursing home because you can't afford a nice house, because even then they're going to inheritance tax it. They don't want you realizing the truth, and that's why.
But you know what, Andrew?
Fight the poor people.
I would love to hear Piers Morgan's reply to that. So, but yeah, we were talking about a lot of that stuff in the last show. You know, it's like what I was saying. It's like it's not one against the other. It's the policy. It's the policy of migration. I mean, that's where they should stop this stuff. And then you have two groups. You know, two of these evil groups. He should have talked about them. You got Soros on the one side, who is actually not Jewish at all, even if people say he is. You know, and on the other side, you do have the Jewish people. So you have Israel trying to get people to hate Muslims, and then you got Soros, you know, trying to mix all these people together, you know, and it's like artificially, you know, I don't know what even George Soros, what his big goal is, except for like destroying family structures. And I don't know if it's peaceful. Is he trying, and is he thinking that everybody's going to, you know, lock arms together and sing Kumbaya or something if they mix them all together? I just don't understand his point of view. I know Israel, that's very blatant. They want the Western, you know, people to hate Muslims and to, you know, get their governments to go, you know, get some bombs and go and bomb Iran and all these other countries.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, exactly. And for anybody out there in England or any of those shows, in those towns, Aussie Cossacks looking for people to video and send him videos. So if you want to contact him, if you're in one of those towns that are protesting or protesting coming up, contact the Aussie Cossack, and he will pay you for your video.
Yeah, but don't. But as you say, they're going to go after you. You know.
Yeah, well, they just went after Scott Ritter as well.
Yeah.
So the FBI,
a little bit of a different thing. It's nothing about those.
Yeah, but the FBI's just raided him on said he's
a Russian agent,
violated the Foreign Agents Act. Yeah, so let's listen to Scott about this, and this is on YouTube, of course. Just give me a second.
Yeah, but you know, even what that guy was saying, they're going to come after us. Even, you know, what is it? What did he say for posting these things online about the violence and stuff?
Yeah.
So in other words, telling the truth and exposing the truth is against the law.
The search warrant is related to concerns apparently the U.S. government has about violations of the Foreign Agent Registration Act.
He lives near Rolfe.
You right now,
up in state New York.
Yeah.
Albany. The Foreign Agent
That's what I was thinking
Act.
too.
They have not done anything that would do it, and hopefully by executing the search warrant and taking the materials that they did, they will rapidly reach that conclusion. I will say that things like this have a chilling effect on free speech. There's no doubt that I'm being targeted because of statements I've made about U.S. policy in Ukraine. I'm being targeted because I have made an effort to try and improve relations between the United States and Russia, to try to bring about arms control, to bring about peace. Apparently somebody in the U.S. government takes umbrage at this.
Incredible.
So they executed a search warrant. The FBI was extraordinarily professional. I have no complaints against the personnel that did this. I do have complaints against the personnel that caused this to happen. This has a chilling impact on free speech. the idea that you have a free speech right in America when you execute it in a manner that the U.S. government takes exception to, and they launch a search warrant, that is an intimidation factor. I can say that I am not intimidated, and I will continue to speak out, and I will continue to do what I do, because that's my responsibility as an American citizen, and I will continue to operate in that manner. So I think I gave you all the answers you need at this point in time. I would request that you respect that, and let me and my wife get on with our business.
What time? Gee, you know, I'll tell you what, I don't know if how can he actually continue to stay in the U.S. when they're pulling all this stuff on him? I'm wondering, you know, I mean, and it's like, yeah, he loves the U.S. And then one of these days he's going to ask himself, well, why do I love the U.S.? Maybe he loves the U.S. because of the Constitution and what's written there, but what is written there is not what's practiced there anymore. And I don't know that it's ever going to come back. It's just getting worse and worse. And you follow the trend. It's like, oh, man alive, guy.
Exactly.
That's one reason why we're here, because you know, get away from stuff like that over there. It's like, I don't know, you know, it's just so weird. It's like, why are they doing this?
You can send us a message from German Joe when you.
Yeah.
I'm also
well, I tell you what, I'm scared to go over there, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm used to over here. You can walk around anytime you want to, and all that. I'm sort of thinking, well, do I want to walk around in the evening time? You know, if I'm going to be in Berlin, I remember I was in Frankfurt 2 years ago.
You're going to have
drug addicts all over the streets.
Yeah, but you're going to have to and do some videos so you can bring back to the show and show what it's like.
Yes, you know, while I'm running, you know, and put it over my shoulder to show you who's running after me.
People with machetes going on a nice walk in Berlin at night.
Yeah, well, Germany, I'm imagining, is still, you know, fairly, what do you say, docile compared to places in the United States, like a lot of the cities over there. So I'm not gonna be expecting anything, and I don't think our hotel we're gonna be for like 3 or 4 days. I don't think it's in a bad area. I'm hoping not. I don't know.
Oh, you will find out.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing. Serbian president has just put out this. He said that there's a military coup being prepared. I wonder by who.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
Yeah, who does that very
often? Who does that? Who does that? He was warned by the FSB Russia that this is happening. So there you go. I wonder who's doing that.
Yeah, I wonder who was behind that one in Belarus. Who was behind the even the one by Vucic? I mean, Fico.
Yeah.
And Orban, you know, he mentioned that they had something against him, but nobody talks about it because it never really went so far as what happened to Fico for Serbia. I mean, for Slovakia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
Kazakhstan.
Georgia. Yeah. Well, that actually, you know, when you have some of these agencies and these people from the West marching in the streets in Georgia, you know who's behind all that.
Need to do what they did here in Russia, is ban all these NGOs. That's it.
Yeah, well,
just get them out of the country.
I think that's the whole idea of that, you know. And but I tell you what, Georgia, you know, it's like a battle going on there. They still have some of these people, like the president. She's even though the president isn't the head of government, or maybe they are. I don't really know how they look at that. But the one who runs the government is the prime minister, and the president is actually, you could say, more European than she is Georgian.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, I don't know. That's a little.
And you know, they found out who's been instigating all these. Finally, they've found out who's been instigating all these protests and riots in the UK.
Did I see anything about that?
There you go.
No, not at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, that one.
It's Putin, of course.
He's behind everything.
He's everything.
He's like a octopus with lots of tentacles.
He's a very busy man who keeps dying or going to die.
Oh yeah, he's got
heart attacks, cancers, and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Oh, he's an octopus, and he's got a testicle in every pie.
Yeah, see, there you go. Yeah, I forgot to put this earlier. Yeah, it's his fault.
Oh, did I say testicle? I mean tentacle.
It's his fault.
He doesn't have a testicle in every pie.
So there you go. Yeah.
My God, you know, when was the last thing that happened? And of course, I blamed him on that one too. Busy guy, you know.
Yes.
Got a network of, you know, like a spider web of testicles. I mean, tentacles everywhere.
Yeah. And speaking of testicles, do you see those photos of Macron?
Oh my.
These ones?
Yeah. What are they doing there? They're just having
They're wrestling.
A gay brawl or something.
Yeah, wrestling. Here's another one. And oh.
I'll tell you what. His husband is gonna. I mean, you know, his husband with the blonde wig is not gonna like that if she sees. I mean, he sees. I mean, it sees that. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of those type of people, the Algerian.
Oh yeah.
The Algerian man in the boxing, in the women's boxing, beat the Taiwanese man in the women's boxing. But he got the gold medal.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? Look at that. I hope that, I didn't even catch the name really of that Russian boxer who was not allowed to go there and to contend in that fight. I hope she gets a chance to actually go up against this Algerian guy.
Yeah, she beat him once, hasn't she?
Yeah, well, I believe so. And she knocked him onto the what do they call that? And she knocked him down on the floor of the ring. And Tyson even wanted to go against this guy, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Tyson said he'd wear a wig.
Well, I tell you what, that would only last about 5 seconds or something.
Yeah.
One hit from Tyson and that's over.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's get back to
some of the other
our next door neighbor, Ukraine. They've made an incursion into the Kursk Oblast, and there's been quite a few.
Who's behind that, I wonder?
Oh, who knows? who told them there was a gap in the border? And they sent their best troops and their best equipment there, and most of them are dead now on the equipment thing. Here's something interesting. I don't know if you saw this. They have called themselves the Nightingale.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I haven't got it on the computer.
Nightingale.
So, yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
They also photoshopped the sign where it says 10 kilometers to Kursk, but it's actually 110. So
and the Photoshop is written in Ukrainian, so it's not very good.
Yeah, so there's that Nightingale unit, and that unit was, guess what?
Oh, that was one of Adolf's favorites.
Yeah, Nazi Ukrainian unit in World War II. So there you go. But Tucker, there's no Nazis in Ukraine.
Yeah, as Tucker said. Yes. Nazis? That's something in Germany in the 30s.
Yes. So weird. There you go.
Well, that's one of the only things that, it's like, oh, I'm glad that, because Tucker, otherwise he's got a lot of people working for him, and because he doesn't go on the internet, I guess, apparently. He has other people that do that, so they fail to inform him about, maybe about a lot of these photos and showing videos of, the activities of Ukrainians, at least even back before 2014. Matter of fact, you can go back to the 1950s, and of course it was small back then, but as a little spark or something, the USA was nurturing that until we have what we have today. And also they were doing this as you see in the Baltic states too, because there's a strong presence of these.
Well, as we said in the last show, they just put up a memorial or a monument or whatever it is to the SS division from Estonia.
Yeah.
And that's only 2 weeks ago, so that's fairly fresh.
Yeah.
There you go. So you heard anything else about the Kursk? What's going on there?
Yes, well, they actually did make it. They made it into there, and I think they might have actually, and they might even still hold a certain portion of that. But of course, in most of it, I think maybe there is a river or whatever going through there, and all the.
I heard actually it was the border guards and the FSB that stopped them just with normal Kalashnikovs.
Yeah, they only got so far, and I guess maybe one of the main goals is to get control of that. I think it's a pumping station there that pumps, I think,
the gas. Yeah,
the gas, and I'm not exactly sure if I can remember if that was the Druzhba, because they have two branches of the Druzhba, and that must be, like the southern Druzhba, because I believe the northern Druzhba is, goes in part through Belarus.
And of course, those wonderful Ukrainians are doing this in there. I'll just show you this. They're going through looting and taking stuff.
Yeah.
So here's a video. Them going into the houses and just looting them.
Yeah, very, and lots of murders and killing and thinking.
Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah.
But the Ukrainians, what a waste. Instead of using it on the front line to try and stop the Russians, they've done this sort of thing. And I'll just show you something here.
Look, if they get help from the U.S., they get the pinpoint areas of where the troops are located and everything. The U.S. has lots of satellites over there, and they know exactly where it's at. And I think they can, yeah, why don't they use it against the troops? They use it against civilians more than anything else. So.
Yeah, well, I'll show you this. I don't know if you've seen this. Hang on. It's obviously in, hang on. I don't know if you can read. Can you read that?
No, I can't.
Okay, so this is on comments on by Ukrainians, right, living there about that, and essentially what they've said is I'll just grab that.
How stupid their government
is. Yeah, so this is ordinary question. They said, and now the question, why the hell did you go to Kursk? Another one said, they'll take revenge now. One said, F, thank you. Now we'll be sitting without any electricity. And then another one said, we need to say goodbye to electricity. And one said, we're effing dead.
Yeah. Well, mostly, as everybody was saying, I think a lot of experts are saying they want to show the West that they can do something so that they get more money. So they say, see, we can be successful. We can, we can do something. And a lot of people are saying, okay, well, this is the big beginning of the next offensive, the next counteroffensive. So, but it's not going to work out no matter what they do. Russia's got far more resources. And I believe I heard that the Ukrainians are also bringing in engineers to fortify some of these, little areas or something that they've taken over, to keep trying to push the border. But they're not in there far enough. And Russia is going to pound those places. Do you think Russia is going to allow that to stand?
It's like last time they did it in Belgorod, didn't they? I have to take this. I'll just put you on the thing. So keep going.
Yeah, I don't even know that they went into that far into Belgorod. They didn't have anything successful anyway. So it's it's. I'll tell you what. That's not a very smart move at all, if you ask me. And if they can only go into one area, and they can't follow that up in other areas, I think if you have seen any of these maps, the combat maps, it's just some one little push-in area, and where they pushed in and went beyond these Russian borders. But the areas to the north and to the south, Russia extends much further into maybe what you would call former Ukraine, or any of that part of the Donbass anyway. And they can close that loop and completely surround these Ukrainian troops that are in there, and so they can totally annihilate them if they have to. And then you hear about the amount of troops that the Ukraine has lost. I guess in the last I don't know if it was the last month or is it the last few weeks, and it's really humongous amount of people. I think it's like 13,500 or something. It's just a phenomenal number. And I think, what was that? When there was this big number, Dave, about how many troops Ukraine lost within a certain amount of time. And I think it was like 13,000 something. And I can't remember the time frame. Was it a couple of weeks or was it 1 month or whatever? But it was a humongous
I saw that
number. And I saved it on my phone. If I could, I don't know, I'd look for it, but I don't have my right glasses on. I can't read my phone.
Duke needs glasses for different things.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Reading, looking, driving, having sex.
It's having sex too, yeah.
There's special ones.
Yeah, so.
You got to be careful when he's got those on. Even I look nice for him.
But I need two different sets. I need a 69 pair, and then I need the other pair for.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the 69 ones
are special wraparounds.
They're like like goggles.
Special wraparounds. Okay.
Probably shouldn't talk like this on YouTube.
No, probably not. Okay. Anything else about that?
Well, there's another thing, but maybe if we wanted to first talk about what's going on in Yemen, but it's.
Oh no, we'll get onto that in a minute.
Yeah, but beyond that,
did you know? I'm just going to go back to America. It was 50 years since the Nixon thing in Arizona. They're finding more and more evidence now. He was ousted. It was a coup, and it was yeah.
I saw there were additions, but I wasn't really reading about that. I was thinking, that was back then, but
yeah. So apparently, there's more and more information now that he didn't do anything wrong. It was just a scam. It was the Democrats doing what they're doing to Trump, did what they did to Nixon, because he won a election just before that in a landslide, right? And so there's no need to do whatever he did. He didn't even know. He found out about the break-in and all that when he was in Texas. He's like, what the fuck? So and there's a good interview with one of the guys who did the investigation and actually saw that, the tape and did the transcript on Tucker. So if you go to tuckercarlson.com, and you can see his latest interview, and that's quite interesting.
Wow.
So again, the Democrats using lawfare, as he said, to get rid of a sitting Republican president.
Yeah. I remember seeing some of these other things what go on.
So he was right. He was not a crook.
Yeah. So I am not a crook. But I remember, like when Israel, when they make this is a long time ago. This is not what's going on recently, but of course it pertains to now as well. When Israel would go into in these incursions into, like, say, the West Bank is what I'm talking about. One of the first things that they did is they would take over the TV stations. And I remember on CNN, and I'm trying to think, I remember CNN was talking about that, because I didn't know anything about any alternative media back in those days. And of course, Israel killed CNN reporters. I think there was one guy who's very well known called Ben Wiederman, and they shot and killed him. And, all this stuff is like not even talked about, or it's forgotten. And there was I think a guy from Australia, blonde-haired guy, and I don't know if he's still there, because I don't watch CNN. But they were talking about what they did is they took over like TV stations, and they were playing pornography 24/7, the Israelis. And but the point I'm trying to make is that they take over the media, and a lot of times it's just like this in the West too. When something goes down, and like one of these more influential groups, such as, you can even say, Democrats and Republicans, and when the Democrats, which of course control most of the media more than the Republicans, except maybe you can say Fox, they start putting out a lot of this fake information, and everybody believes a certain narrative. And when you hear it from several different stations, say, oh, it must be true, since they're all reporting it in that way. And maybe that's the same thing what was happening around Nixon times. And like say Maduro and what's going on down there, and everybody, like even Elon Musk, is apparently convinced, Maduro cheated on the election. And then you have to be powerful and either have some sort of outlets to put out what really is true. And I don't know if you have to have a louder voice or whatever, and yell louder and just tell the truth. Otherwise, you're gone, you're swept away. And it's a coup d'etat has just taken place.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yemen. What do you say?
Yemen.
Yemen. I say tomato, you say tomato. Okay, so what's the news there? What's happening?
Yeah, you know more than
I know. Yeah, I told you actually. No, what's happening? So apparently 70 special services commandos, whatever you want to call them, were landed in the country to look for mobile missile systems. And this is
and other things.
Yes, and other things.
Because believe it or not, I used to be in a unit like this. So what Dave is going to be describing, I can add a little bit to it.
Okay. And so there was mainly IDF, Israelis, and the rest were Blackwater mercenaries. So they got landed, and they were picked up by Russian satellites, and that was relayed to Iran. And then Iran relayed that to Yemen. And of course the Yemenis knew their country, and they surrounded them, and they killed them all.
Wow.
All 70 of them. So that was the end of that mission.
Yeah. I can add to that. Like I said, I was in a unit like that, and back in the Vietnam days, I think they called them, of course, anyway, the full long name is, without the abbreviation, is Long Range Surveillance Detachments, and they had different things, and they changed it in our days. I think it was LSRD or LRSD and stuff, Long Range Surveillance Detachments. And of course, then you're trained, like in our units, you very good with camouflage, and you carry a lot of water with you, and you kind of move slowly, and you have binoculars and things, and you're not really supposed to be engaging the enemy, but you have to have a lot of good stamina, so you're in good shape. And it's like, I guess you could say, essentially combat spy. And what you do is you look and you see how many troops they have and how many tanks and all that sort of deal. And they have different forms of that. And in my day, the French were the best. And of course, Israel, of course, is normally always good in a lot of these things, such as Mossad. They took elements from different sort of intelligence agencies, and then the best parts, and then they learned and they trained people from that. And I can tell you more about that as well. But yes, these people, and there's sometimes these small groups. The United States at one time used a small group, and believe it or not, they were Jewish, but I think they were American, and they infiltrated into Iran, and Iran caught them. And we're talking about maybe over 20 years ago. And they were civilian type peoples. Maybe one or two of them were military, and they were supposed to look and act. And there was a woman there too to make it look like they're civilians, and they went hiking and all that sort of thing, but they're there to gather information. And in this time, it looks like they were, like if they were Blackwater, probably all men, and I'm sure they were husky and in shape type guys. So that's really interesting stuff,
Yes. And back to Russia, this has just come through, this photo. Captured Striker. So the Russians have just started capturing equipment from that.
So this was from this incursion.
Yes. So from what I understand,
a lot of German equipment.
Yes, from what I understand. Here you go. I'll just have a look. It says last night the enemy attempted to break through to the south of that town with the support of tanks, but was stopped by Russian units. With support of heavy equipment, Ukraine attacked the positions of the Russian armed forces in the direction of Korovnova, but received and retreated. In that town you were talking about?
Sudza?
That one?
That's where the gas
I just didn't want to butcher the name, that's all.
Yeah.
Systematic work is underway to squeeze out the enemy forces. The enemy is no longer advancing in the settlement itself.
Wow.
And right.
But you never know. You're only hearing good stuff from the Russian side, of course, because it's biased because it is Russian. And
Ukrainian military channels write that during the night they were fighting and lost a number of positions. So that's that.
So they admit it anyway in their press. Yeah, like I said, a lot of dead. I mean, in these last days. Down in the Middle East and up there in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, well, we've got some video actually, so let's have a look at this. If it'll play.
Трофей.
Опа.
Охуеть. Ну и типу маленько не повезло. Лежит пидор.
These are Ukrainians on the ground.
Yeah, and even if a lot of those people are their best, there's probably throwing in some that are untrained. Wow.
No, apparently they're all the best unit.
Well, that guy looks like he's well equipped, probably definitely special forces. Oops, music.
Russian music. What are they towing?
Wow. Russia's sending a lot of equipment in there too, so.
Yeah, so there you go.
As far as equipment is concerned and a lot of this stuff, there's these reports that the U.S. military-industrial complex is making a killing beyond anything right now. They're making so much money selling weapons with all, mostly to Ukraine and what's going on to Israel. And of course, Israel can never get enough bombs and things like that.
Also, yesterday, the Ukrainian Air Force violated airspace of here, Belarus.
Oh,
and
I didn't hear that.
Air defense destroyed several objects.
Wait a minute, of Belarus? Air defense of Belarus?
Yeah, destroyed several objects.
Ooh.
All troops were put on alert. Aviation was put on combat alert, including multiple rocket launchers were brought up to the border. Other flying objects, drones, were handed over to the Russian Air Force defenses. More than 10 drones were destroyed in the district. And we've got full commentary by Dad.
By who?
Lukashenko.
Oh.
They call him father, remember?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Didn't you know that?
I've heard Luka before.
No, that's his nickname here, father.
Okay.
And the full commentary with the violation of the Belarusian airspace by Ukraine, but it'll be in Russian, so there's no use us playing it. But if I can, I'll just put that here. There he is there.
Talking about that, huh?
Yeah, so that's that. Oops.
You know, when you see Ukraine making these incursions and going to these other towns in Ukraine, I mean, in Russia, you have to think, you know, and it's going up on the eastern side of Belarus, you know, so we have all these hostilities to the south and to the eastern side, and it makes you, you know, these people are so irrational. Like what Israel, look at they want to invade everybody and get a huge big war going. So
yeah,
you know, and so makes you wonder if Ukraine, you know, because they think very similar. There might be
So Belarusian special forces have arrived in the border area with Ukraine. Heavy equipment and personnel, in accordance with the president's instructions, which is obviously in that speech, are in full combat readiness. So that's what's happening on the border with Belarus.
Wow.
What else we got? We've got, unfortunately, a Russian Ka-52 was shot down. The crew was killed. Yeah, so there you go. That's what's happening here with us.
But I heard, I think it was a MiG-31, I think, from Ukraine was shot down as well. It's 29 or 31, I don't know. One of the MiGs. They had a
MiG something.
Yeah, some kind of a MiG.
Yes, so there you go. So that's what's been happening here as well. So they've been probing this side. Yeah. And unfortunately, our Russian translation is just about to run out. So,
people.
Yeah, so there you go.
Learn English.
Learn English.
Well, I got to learn Russian.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking like that. But yes, and we mentioned about the equipment now getting sent by the United States, but Russia is apparently, I heard somewhere, they're sending equipment to Iran.
Yeah, lots of air defense systems and electronic warfare systems.
I heard a lot of the S-400s.
And because there's really no time to train the Iranians, the Russians are operating them. And they've warned Israel and America that they will be operating them. And if anybody gets killed, well, then Russia will join the war.
And that probably influences why Iran has not yet responded to that assassination that they conducted in Tehran, because if Russia is now sending equipment there and manning it, Iran, and they have to probably think, well, you know, it has to be very proportional and it has to be very measured, any kind of response, because if they have a too big of a response, you know, and Russia has troops there, and you know, and Israel decides to retaliate. I saw some experts saying, "Oh yes, it's going to be, and there's going to be nuclear weapons used." You know, but I don't know.
Well, the only people that use nukes would be
Israelis.
Yeah,
I don't think the U.S. definitely wouldn't be using nukes over this sort of a deal. I don't even think they're going to be using nukes in Eastern Europe. But who's crazy enough to do that? The only one I know would be Netanyahu and his band over there.
Band of merry men.
Yeah, man alive. But yeah, so what else have we heard about this thing, about what's going on in between Iran and all that? Yeah, I don't know. Do you know anything more about that?
No, that's the only thing I heard was about the Russian, there's like daily flights of Russian equipment going in.
Yeah, but some expert also said, well, it's going to be big. I mean, you can measure about...
And the Turkey foreign minister said that if Israel goes into Lebanon, then Turkey's coming into the war.
Mm-hmm.
And the foreign minister's he's the one that's going to take Erdogan's job when he retires.
Huh?
So he's number 2, and he's
for that party.
Yeah, I haven't got the video, but he said essentially that if Israel goes into Lebanon, then Turkey's into the war to help Lebanon and Hezbollah.
Well, you can imagine how this can spiral out of control. And I would think, you know, how Turkey is. You know, you know, Erdogan has done a lot of talk, and you never know on which side. You know, he's the loose cannon. Is he going to point this direction? Is he going to point that way? He's in NATO. That's another negative. And if you think about what's going on, say for example, if you know, you have to think of which country going in and which country, you know, abstaining. And of course, Jordan is going to be probably going to be staying neutral.
No, Jordan's just given Israel permission to shoot down objects over there, missiles over there.
So they're on the side of the
Israelis.
Israel and U.S.
Yeah, because the U.S. has got Jordan by the balls. Mm-hmm. So, you know, with economically and all that. So,
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I what the relationship is between Jordan and the United States. So as far as economically and
because the people in Jordan actually are for Gaza and the Palestinians. It's just the elites in Jordan and Egypt are helping the US and Israel.
Yeah. So
whereas Turkey elites and the opposing power are actually in sync with the people on the ground because they want something done as well.
Yeah, and then somebody was saying, "Oh, Erdogan's done a 180-degree turn and he wants a ceasefire." I don't know. Have you been hearing that?
No, I didn't hear that. Yeah, but everybody's been calling for ceasefire, so there you
go. Not Netanyahu. News. Questions them and say half of this decade. No, I'll tell you, they know, 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 hardly. No, I'll tell you.
It's gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting.
They bring this
out there wants to do something. Out there wants to do. Out there wants to. Out there wants to.